Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am ManyNinjas. Welcome to the next installment in Retro Ninja Gaming, where for this particular case we're going to go with a slightly shorter title, being an older Genesis classic that I can honestly say I would never get bored of playing. The game in question, Streets of Rage 2. 1 second, getting the emulation started again. Probably the best overall of the Streets of Rage titles. This one is the middle one of the trio there, where we've just gotten over the defeat of Mr. X the first time around, but before they do anything silly like make him into a robot. The reason I am kind of picking this one over something like Streets of Rage 3 is that the North American release of Streets of Rage 3 did a number of silly things which actually made that one a bit harder, and honestly, aside from making it so that the special moves could be used without expending energy as long as you wait for a bar refill and of course running, there weren't exactly too many great improvements to the third game. It actually feels a little less polished than the second title overall, to be honest. Which is part of the reason why, even though I've played a lot of all three titles, generally number 2 is the one that gets the thumbs up in terms of what's best overall. Alright, for this particular game through, we're actually going to play this on the hard difficulty there. Admittedly, I'm a little out of practice, which is the only reason I'm amping up the amount of lives to 5 as a default there. And let's get started. Generally, Axel is your middle-of-the-road character. Blaze, for the most part, is a little weaker, but of course faster. Sammy is your excuse for a very fast character, but that does no damage. And if you're willing to deal with some slow-moving in nature, Max is your go-to character for power. In this case, we want to go with a balanced character like Axel. Alright, 3-1 up. In terms of changes from normal to hard difficulty, I think the enemies might do a smidge more damage at most, but generally the big difference is they're just going to be seeing more enemies as a whole. In terms of changes that have gone in this game from beta to final and maybe a little localization differences, really the biggest difference I can think of are that some of Axel's attacks got changed from the beta to the final copy. Namely, I recall him having uppercut that just really looks strange in the beta versions. And I think in this case there's a little bit of censorship when it comes to Blaze's jump kick. I can't remember if it was the neutral one or the one that actually had movement. But generally there was some censorship because you could originally see her underwear in the beta version, which of course got cropped out with a more static dress in the actual finals. I'm not sure if it's the case in this game, although it does pop up in the third game. The enemies that fit under the Galcia enemy type actually go under 2 different translated names moving on from the second game onward. In the third game, they have them listed as Garcia, mostly being a case of a little bit of R to L changes, probably due to just Japanese phonetics there, for lack of a better term. Alright, getting rid of the knife. While the knife does give you a little more range in order to work with, the fact you can't combo with it means it's honestly generally useless. In this case, the comboing from the second game is a little more generous than what they ended up using for the third game, as you can actually get away with kind of a slow jab setup that, as long as you aren't trying to dodge too many other things, you can literally just do something like this where you have an enemy that just gets jabbed to death. With, as long as you make sure to respond back in time before they can actually hit you back. Get rid of that knife. Oh, I think I actually hit something. Another thing about one other possible change is I believe the name fonts might have used a different color in the beta version, and Y signals period in the middle might have actually had a different icon. It might have been a dash instead. but I need to go back to the beta in order to check that out. Admittedly, when it comes to moving around, a nice run animation would have really been nice at this point. That's probably one of the nicer changes when Streets of Rage Remake came out, which is kind of a fan game that, due to obvious copyright infringement, got kind of pulled. They gave an option to turn on a run ability that you could turn on and off through the settings, which made getting through certain sections so much faster. I almost forgot you could dash backwards in some cases. Not that it's very useful most of the time, but you can do it. Probably this is the only other case of a real difference between normal and hard difficulty. Jack definitely has a lot more health now. I think he was originally maybe just 1 1/4 life bars at best, instead of a full 2 and something. Admittedly, not too much to talk about in this bar sequence. There's only so much you can say when you play this section for the umpteenth time, really. Now think about it. Now I'd already killed the other colored jacket, so or the other colored signal, so have to see what color that was supposed to be that time around. Now that I think about it, I'll need to double check it later on just to confirm it. But in terms of regional difficulties or regional changes, on top of just the differences in difficulty between the North American and the Japanese release, I think the original Japanese release of Bare Knuckle 3 also had it so that the main characters had something closer to the original colors, while the North American release had noticeably different palette for Axel, Blaze, and Sammy or Skate, depending on whatever you want to call them. In the third game, in the North American version, Axel actually was wearing a yellow shirt along with darker gray, black jeans, whatever you want to call it there, which made the fight with the copy Axel, otherwise known as Break, really odd and stand out because they weren't actually the same color, I think. Now, just as a small Easter egg here, there's a small trick to this particular boss fight, being that if you actually wait it out, instead of getting too close to him, which automatically starts the fight, Barbin here, who is the boss for stage 1, will actually wait for you, or actually start attacking you no matter what, at the 80-second mark. 1 second, let's make one more. The Galcia's out here. Alright. Yep, there we go. Oh no, I am not dying to Galcia. Or Barbin there. Probably one of the few real great uses of the ground upper is just kind of a way to safely move forward most of the time. Or if you're walking straight into him, Barbin here will toss you at every given opportunity. Fortunately, even in hard mode, Barman is really a pushover, so there goes stage 1. I'm just going to momentarily pause the recording in order to check a message, and we'll be back shortly, folks.